everybody, it is Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes here for another Tutorial Tuesday. When you jump on, say hi and let me know where you are watching from. If you're watching a replay or if you're watching live, I'd love to see where you guys are watching from. I wanted to pull this up here so I can see the comments. I have the screen pretty far, or the camera pretty far away from me today. So let me pull this up here. And then we are gonna play with some fondant today. I'm super excited about that. Have you guys worked with fondant before? Oh look, it popped up here.
Let me know where you are watching fondant today. I'm super excited about that.
Volume. How do I do this?
Have you guys worked with fondant before?
You guys.
Oh look, it popped up here. Let me know where you are watching fondant.
Let's see. How do I get my volume down on this thing? Right here. Maybe it works. There it is. This thing is a new case and it just, okay. That should work. Look at it. Love it, technology. We're always playing and trying new things. So let me get my comments up here. I don't see the comments, but I see you guys are popping on. I love it. So we are going to cover a cake in fondant. I've got my fondant here. I've got my cake behind me. We're gonna do some fondant pieces to put on it. We're gonna play. That is my favorite thing. Can you guys give me some comments if you have not already? I don't see anywhere for comments on here. Oh, there they are. There we go. I love it, guys. Thank you so much. All right, so throw me some comments. Let's make sure it's working. I can see Roberta, Katie, Amy, Joy, Linda, Nancy, thank you guys so much. Hi, Joy, thank you so much. All right, awesome. So we are ready to roll. I can see your guys' comments. I will try to keep an eye out for questions along the way. What we're gonna do is play with some fondant today. Before we get started, I did have a very exciting announcement. I wanted to make sure that I was able to share with you guys. Hello, ladies. Wednesday, next week, Wednesday on the 24th of March, we are having our first ever open house. We're calling it Free Cake Day. So it's gonna be like trick-or-treating style, and you guys can come and join us. We have the link in the description. So if you wanna click on that, it'll take you to the page for the event details. We have a ton of people interested so far. We are about to do a drawing. There's a comment post on that page, on the event page, for a drawing for a gift. We're gonna do a raffle the day of the event. Hey Caitlin, thank you for joining. All right, so fondant. Let's play with some fondant today, guys. How is everyone doing? What did you have for dinner? What's happening? Throw me some love, tell me where we're at, what's happening in the world. So I'm gonna cover a cake in fondant. I've got all kinds of tools here. I've got my turntable. I've got a rolling pin. These plastic ones are really nice because the wood ones are going to dry the fondant out and it's gonna want to stick to it really badly. Hey Maya. So the plastic ones are really nice. They're easy to use with the fondant with gum paste. So definitely recommend those. You can get them in various sizes. This is the size that I like. I don't even know how big it is. So it is whatever you guys are comfortable with. I love it. We're excited to learn today. Thank you, ladies. Okay. Scissors. I've got some knives here. I've got a pair of scissors, just craft scissors. A paring knife. I've got a little X-Acto knife. We'll play with these guys. So for covering a cake in fondant, oh, I forgot to grab the tool. We'll use one of these. You don't have to use one of these, but to get really nice, clean, smooth sides, I definitely recommend it. This is just a fondant smoother. It will help you smooth those edges nicely. I love having all my tools around me. All right, so, and then we've got a powdered sugar shaker. We make our fondant in-house here. It is a white chocolate base. You can purchase, my comments keep hiding. You can purchase, let's see, sorry, I'm totally distracted by all the different comments and stuff. So you can purchase fondant or you can make it yourself. There's a ton of different recipes. So play with it, see what you guys like best. We like the white chocolate base. It's very strong, so it doesn't easily break. It's not super stretchy, but it has enough stretch to where when I go to put it on the cake, which you'll see when I do the sides, I actually will stretch it a little bit, but it's not going to stretch so much that it gets too thin, because some of the thinner fondants you'll find, if you feel like you're stretching it and getting really thin spots, that's going to be why. So making it yourself is not difficult at all. You just got to find the recipe and the type of fondant that you like. There's marshmallow fondant, there's all kinds of fun fondants that you can do. The thing I look for is that it's sticky, but it doesn't stick to me. So I want it to be like soft and pliable, like a dough, and it has a little bit of stickiness to it, but it doesn't actually leave any kind of residue or stickiness on my fingers. So what's going to happen is when I roll it out, it's going to stick nicely to the table and cause that tension. And then Terry Towner, good evening. And then that way it kind of holds its shape. You know when you're rolling out a dough and it wants to just like spring back to its shape? You want it to be able to stay where you kind of put it. So I've got a lot of fondant here. We're gonna roll out a nice chunk of fondant, and then we're gonna cover our cake in it. So if you want to purchase fondant, there's all kinds of brands. My favorite is, let me move this chair out of the way. My favorite is Choco Pan, which I believe is now Dream Fondant. If you want to purchase fondant, it is the most similar to what we use. It works very nicely. And you can just store this at room temperature in like Ziploc bags. It does dry out, so you want to make sure that you have it completely covered and sealed in between uses, or it will start to dry out. Thank you guys so much for joining. I love it. Look at all of you beautiful faces. Awesome. So Dream Fondant, if you want to purchase something. If you've never played with fondant before, take the easy route, guys. Buy some fondant and play with it. Don't make it harder on yourself. Play with something that you know is good, a good brand, a good quality. Learn how to use the fondant, and then you can go and play with making something from scratch. Or if you just love to make stuff from scratch and that's like your thing, then go ahead and do that. It should be fun. So the goal of fondant is not to replace your icing on your cake. So my cake, hiding back here, is completely iced like I would normally ice it in a buttercream. You can ice it in whatever you want to ice it in, and then I popped it in the freezer or the cooler just enough to make that icing cold, so that when I put the fondant over it, it doesn't mess up the shape of the cake. So you want the icing to be just a little bit cold. Alright, so I've got a nice big ball of fondant here. I'm going to mush it just so it's a little bit flat. And then we're going to roll it out. So, if you have a lower table, I do find it a lot easier to do it on a lower table than on a higher table. I feel like I can just use like my body weight against the fondant instead of having to like use only arm strength if it's up here high. So I'm just going to slowly roll from the middle and out and stretch. And I want to keep this clean. You can put a little bit of powdered sugar on it and on the top, but you want to keep it pretty clean. And we're just going to roll it out until it's nice and thin, and I will show you guys where we're going to go. And you want to keep it pretty even. That's another reason I like this style rolling pin, where it's not tapered. I also don't like the rolling pins with the handles. I feel like it's a lot easier for me to put my strength in the middle of the rolling pin and do it this way. And I'm just going to keep moving it around, because I'm going to have more strength going away from myself than towards myself. And I want to make this pretty round. I also want to make sure the bottom isn't building up a ton of powdered sugar. If it has too much powdered sugar on it, then it's not going to stick to the table very well, and it's gonna slide around. And I do want it to stick a little bit. It's kind of that difficult balance. I love covering cakes in fondant though. I find it very rewarding. Sometimes I have to do this more than once too. Sometimes my first time doing it, it doesn't work. And sometimes it just works out beautifully. So I have some air bubbles in here, which I don't like seeing. Air bubbles are from when I was kneading the fondant. I did not get all my air bubbles out, and I don't like seeing that. So I can pop them. Just with the X-Acto knife, I can just pop them. And then roll them over, roll over them, and they will roll out. Or if they're still visible when I'm done, then I'll have to ball it up and roll it back out. So the benefit to doing a cake covered in fondant, why would you do this instead of just icing a cake in buttercream? There are lots of different reasons. I would say the most significant reason, the one time I would definitely do this in fondant and not do a buttercream cake, is if I was hand painting the cake. If I was hand painting the cake, are you okay? Yeah. He scared me. Do you need a hand? Nope. Lifting heavy bowls, buttercream. So if I'm hand painting a cake, then I'm definitely going to want to cover it in fondant. If I'm hand painting on buttercream, it's going to want to beat up. It's not going to be as smooth. It's just not going to look as nice. Some people just prefer fondant because it looks a little bit smoother. It looks a little bit cleaner. Some people just prefer fondant in general. Some people really don't like fondant. Everyone has their own preference. All right, let's see where we're at. So I've got a nice big sheet of fondant here. I'm going to use my knife and cut off some of these edges. And then we can grab my cake. And I want to make sure it's thin, but I also want to make sure that it's even. Most important is that it's even. Look at you, muscles. All right, so I've got my cake. It's covered in buttercream. It's cold. I've got a sprinkle on here. Flying sprinkles. Okay, so to cover my cake in fondant, there's lots of different ways you can do it. You can lay it on your arms. You can lay it over your rolling pin. Honestly, I've done this enough times where I'm just comfortable picking it up. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you guys an easy way to do it. Is to just put one hand under it and just lay it on top of the cake. Super simple. You just want to move kind of quickly because gravity is going to pull it like over your hand. So super simple, guys. Let me grab some styrofoam here. Maybe, can you shoot me a styrofoam? Thank you. Thank you. I can raise this up so you guys can see it a little bit better. All right, guys, so we've got our cake. It looks like a nice ghost right now. So what we're gonna do is smooth this all the way down. And what I like to do is we're gonna stretch and smooth, stretch and smooth. And we're gonna inch our way down the cake. So we don't wanna start going all the way down the cake. We're just gonna go inch by inch, a little bit at a little bit. And when I have this much extra under here, I feel like it gets in the way. So I'm gonna take my scissors and just cut some of this, we'll call it skirt, off the cake. Just be really careful not to cut too much off. you want some extra, it does make it easier to stretch out the cake. But you don't want all the extra stuff in the way. Cool. So this stuff can be balled back up and we can use it for something else. All right, so I'm just lightly pulling on it and stretching and smoothing. And I'm very gently smoothing. We just want to make sure that we're not allowing any wrinkles. And we're going to inch our way down the cake. So this is the part that takes a little while, but at the same time you do want to work fairly quickly because it does start drying out, and the more dry this gets, it can get kind of like leathery on the outside, and it makes it difficult for it to smooth nicely. That's when you get like little cracks and like leathery looking dry spots. We're just going to inch our way around the cake. And I'm not attaching it to the cake, I'm just pulling it straight down and smoothing. Alright guys, so as we've gotten this down, now I can start attaching it to the cake. And I'm just going to really softly, smoothly, just the very top. And I'm using the wide part of my hand. If I use my fingers, then I tend to have little indents. So I want to use a nice flat part of my hand. And I can just inch it down little by little. Alright, and as we get to that bottom, we'll want to stretch it out one more time to make sure we don't have any wrinkles. And this is where having that really smooth fondant, really agreeable brand or recipe is nice, because it's a lot of handling. Got a little bit of wrinkles here, so I'm just going to keep smoothing that out. Stretch and pull. So again, you can stretch and pull to pull those wrinkles out and then smooth it. Alright, now we have it attached all the way around. I'm going to use my pinky to kind of push it into the corner at the board. We have our nice, beautiful cake here. This is nice and clean. You want to make sure there's no moisture on this at all, so I can dust it on the powdered sugar if I need to. Smoothing the top. This is making sure we don't have any air bubbles in between the cake and the fondant. Let's see if you guys had any questions. Hey Matt, hey Caitlin, hey Sharon. Thank you guys for watching. Hey Carrie, hey Weston, how are you? Sharon, thank you for sending 50 stars. That's awesome. Very cool. All right, so we're just gonna smooth this flat on top, and then we're gonna go around and do the sides. And you wanna do slight even pressure and just pushing in. Not enough to like shove your cake, but enough to push into the cake. And that's making sure any air bubbles. What's gonna happen if you have an air bubble is it's gonna become obvious, and then you can just pull your fondant away, let the air out, and then close that. And I'm gonna do around the bottom edge real nice, and we're gonna do this top edge and make sure we have a nice smooth fondant covered cake. Okay, cool. So this is the part I always sit down for. This is the part I mess up. Everyone has a spot that they're, you know, less good at. This is my part. I have a habit of getting excited because I'm like, oh, I did it, it's beautiful. And then I cut my fondant off too fast. And then I end up going like, wonk, and then having this giant chunk out of the bottom and then having to redo it. So, you're not done yet. Go slowly. I'm gonna go around this bottom one more time, and we just wanna get this nice and tight at the base. Just pushing into that base. Beautiful. So I like to use a X-Acto because it's really like pinpoint specific. You can use a paring knife or whatever other kind of blade you like. And all I'm going to do is create a little cut and then straight down, not in, but straight down, cut. I'm gonna go slow, guys. Watch me go too fast again, I get excited. Do you guys ever get excited and then you like turn the turntable too fast and then like you're like, oops, that was too excited. I do that when I'm putting like paint on a cake too. Cake decorating is fun. Sometimes I get overly excited. Is anyone watching coming to our open house next week? I'm super excited. We have some very cool things we're raffling off. Ashley's gonna be there. What? You're gonna see real people.
That's right.
We're gonna have unicorns for photo ops. Nate Crouch is gonna be there for photography. He's gonna take some beautiful photos. He's an amazing photographer. We've got to do some very cool photo shoots with him. He did the dragon cake photo shoot, the Dungeons and Dragons photo shoot that we did with, managed by Meg, coordinator at the Freedom Barn. And we did another photo shoot with him. Where was that one? That was at, I hope I don't say it wrong. I think it was at the Hilton. I'm pretty, oh no. It was at the Hilton or the Conrad. I apologize. It was at one of those very cool venues. As soon as I said it, I regretted it. Amazing coordinators. Anne and Lori, love working with them. Did a photo shoot where we floated a cake in a pool. So much fun. Don't ever want to do it again, but so much fun. I think if we ever, I hope someone wants to put their cake in a pool, but we'll have to do like a ghost table, like an acrylic table, so it looks like it's floating, but it's not actually floating, because that was terrifying. And I don't want to climb in a pool again, so. Can you imagine that cake delivery? Yes, we did a photo shoot where we floated a cake in a pool. It was absolutely amazing. The photos were amazing. The experience was amazing. Afterwards, we all jumped in the pool for a photo op. It was so much fun. I hope someone someday tells me they want to float their cake in a pool. I hope they do. But that might make me nervous. Because who's going to cut it? Who's going to climb in the pool and cut it? Right?
That's what my dude's primary thing.
All right, Ashley has said it live on Facebook. Her wedding cake is going to be floating in the pool. You're going to have to do something original.
Seriously.
It's happening. I'll do it. I'll climb in the pool for you. All right, guys. So we have a little piece of powdered sugar up here. So we can just pick that off. So we have our fondant covered cake. What do you think? She looks beautiful. Benefits of a fondant covered cake is they're really neat. They're very tidy. They're very clean. They do look nicer and like more neat and tidy than a buttercream cake. And I say that when we can get our buttercream very clean and very smooth. But a fondant cake, Hello from Trinidad. I love it. Thank you so much for watching. That's so cool. There are some things that just look better in fondant. So if we're gonna do hand painting, if we're gonna do like watercolor, things like that are gonna look nicer and neater on fondant. Whereas if we do them on buttercream, they're gonna wanna bead up, they're gonna wanna run, they're just not gonna look as nice. You're not gonna get the same kind of color. We're not gonna be able to get concentrated color on there without it beading up. So I definitely love the fondant look for that. And then like I said, sometimes you just want that like perfectly smooth, gorgeous fondant look. The other thing is marbling. So for marbling a cake, I do feel like they look a lot nicer in fondant. We can do a faux marble in buttercream and it's a gorgeous design, but it just doesn't have that same marbling effect. So it just depends on what you guys want, what you want on your cake, if you want to try something new and play, and what the customers want. Thank you guys. I like my cake. So fun. All right, let's play with some fondant pieces. I'm gonna move you out of the way, little one. I've got some cool tools here. I'm gonna show you how to adhere some stuff to your fondant. So fondant on fondant. Because if I'm putting something like this on a buttercream cake, I can easily just stick it on the buttercream that's gonna stick. But on fondant, we need to glue it on. And we can use vodka for that. It works very well because it evaporates very quickly, so it will be wet and sticky and act like glue. And then once it starts evaporating, it will stick very nicely. So I have all these cool things. I think I want to make this one because I don't really know what it's going to look like. I mean, I can see it on the back, but I haven't actually made this one myself yet. So I think I'm gonna make this one. I've got some broochy type things. I thought it would be fun. I don't know how well you guys can see these. We've got all kinds of molds. This is like a jewel necklace. I thought it would be fun to do some brooch type things. So I've got this nice big pile of fondant over here. Let's play. So if you want to do molds, you can do like literally anything. We can do stripes and polka dots and bows, and we can do an elephant or a giant hot air balloon, or literally all the things. I think I could think of more examples if it could be all the things, but that's all the examples I can think of. A box of cereal. How obscure can I be? Alright guys, so I'm just kneading this out so I don't have any air pockets in there. I want to make sure it's nice and smooth. And then we're going to want to powdered sugar this guy just a little bit. And we can just dust it over. So I like to tap it around. We want to make sure there's no excess in there, but we want to make sure it's lightly coated. And then we can take a little piece of fondant. I don't actually know how much we'll need. And we can just press it into the mold. You can use plastic molds. Silicone molds are great because they are a little bit flexible. If you have trouble getting your fondant out of the mold, pop it in the freezer for like 2 minutes, and then it will pop right out really nicely. I love it. You guys are amazing. Look at all these beautiful comments. Thank you guys. All right, so let's see. I want a little bit more. So I can add more just to the back of this and just press it in if I need more. I don't have to worry about creating seams if I just add it to the middle back rather than adding it to the side. This is a very interesting piece. I don't know how well this is going to come out. I might need to pop this guy in the freezer. So if I'm taking them out, I can kind of roll the edge and see if I can pull it out without distorting it. But sometimes you will need to pop them in the freezer so you don't distort it. Oh, that looks pretty nice. So I have this very cool, let's see if I can show you without dropping it, this very cool like medallion. Let's paint it. I love painting things. Do you guys like painting things? Ashley, would you do me a favor and get me like an 8-inch cake board so I don't get paint all over my hands?
Yes.
Alright guys, and I've got Pastry Ideal Gold Dust dusting powder here. And I just put some in a little 2-ounce cup. Perfect, thank you. I'm gonna put it on here, and then I'm gonna come around and show you guys this. So I've got this in here, and then I'm gonna use lemon extract. You can also use vodka. They work very similarly. What you're going for is that alcohol in there that has that really high evaporation point. And just some craft paint brushes. Come over here to you. Alright, so we're just going to take some paint. And we can really bring it to life with this. What do you guys think? So we have this cool medallion. Let's make something else. So if I let that sit for just a few minutes, it will dry enough to where I can touch it without all that paint coming off. And then I might have to touch it up a little bit, like my finger might take a little bit off, but I can move it around and play with it that way. Ronzi says, this is so beautiful. Thank you. Mildred says it's beautiful. Thank you, ladies. All right. I really want to see what this looks like. I actually don't know quite what it looks like, so let's do this one too. So for a mold like this, I'm just going to roll out a little snake. At least that's what my kid calls them when we play Play-Doh. Snakes. All your Play-Doh skills come into play here, guys. You've been training for this your whole life. Alright, and then we can just mash it in. And remember, I said, if you don't have enough, then you can just put some in the middle or in the back to fill it in, and then you don't have to worry about seams. If you try to put it in the end, then you're going to have a seam. Alright, we're just pressing it in. And you want to press it in really deep because you want to make sure you get all those little cracks and crevices in there. Dawn says, I have a hard time with those. With this type of mold, Dawn? Is that what you mean? I'm not sure where that comment came in. I apologize. Alright, so you want to press it in really deep, and then we can smooth it out with like the palm of your hand, the heel of your hand. And then I like to pull them back just really gently with my finger to make sure that the edge is nice and clean. So I don't have anything hanging over. I want to get that edge shaped the way it's meant to be. And then if we pinch it in just a super tiny bit, it should peel right out. Ooh, this is pretty. Again, you can pop these in the freezer. This is like a gorgeous bracelet, necklace, jewel. So we could paint this multiple colors, like we could do pearls and gold, but I'm just gonna jump in there with all gold. We're gonna see what it looks like. Dawn says getting the edge clean. Yeah, it's difficult, especially if you're not used to it, or used to like how much to put in. I like to drag my paintbrush across so I have some like background that's white on the mold too. I feel like it gives it some definition that way. Alright guys, what do you think about that one? These would be cool if we're making like a jewelry box too. I'm feeling a jewelry vibe here. Alright, so apparently Matthew is watching 20 times. I don't know if I'm having like trouble with my Wi-Fi, but it just Matthew is watching, Matthew is watching, Matthew is watching. So I hope the video is working. Cool. I'm just gonna keep going. So we are going to stick these on here. So to get fondant to stick to fondant, I like to use vodka. Let me grab that real quick. We do a lot of fondant work, so we have a lot of vodka. Just whatever's cheap. If something's on sale. Lauren says it's working. Thank you, Lauren. Alright, so we can just use a little bit in the cap. I should see if some vodka brand will sponsor our videos. That might be off brand for them, but I think it would work. The entire cake decorating community rallies around them. Alright guys, so we are gonna stick some of our fondant pieces on here. Let's start with, let's start with the medallion I made first. So it's a little bit stuck to the board and I can just stick my paring knife under there and pop it off. Not a problem, so don't worry if stuff like that happens, it's totally normal. Does flavored vodka mess up the cake? I'm gonna guess, totally guess here, no, because we use lemon extract and I've never tasted the lemon. However, I've never used flavored vodka, so I don't know. But you're using such a minimal amount, I can't imagine, unless someone has like a crazy palate, that they're gonna notice. But that's a really good question. I would say the best thing to do is to make a sample piece of fondant, paint it with your flavored vodka, let it dry, and then taste it and see if you notice before you put it on your cake. Dawn says, when you guys get your molds, do you consider the depth of the mold? Awesome question. There's a totally different range, like massive range in quality of molds. Even just these, what did I grab? I can't even count. I grabbed 5 different molds, and they're 5 different brands, 5 different styles, 5 different like qualities. Probably different decades too. This one's from 2012. This one's from 1976. So, yes, huge range in quality. I would say that the only thing I would consider about the depth of the mold is that if you're doing like one thing that's really deep, like a deep mold and a bunch of shallow molded things, they're gonna stand out in different dimension on the cake. But as far as purchasing, I just purchase what I think looks pretty, and then that's how deep it is. That's what I got to deal with. Awesome question. I love it. All right, so let me pick up this very cool medallion, and I'm gonna get my paintbrush wet with the vodka and just lightly brush. So I'm not saturating the back, just a little bit on here. And let's just put you right in the middle as I drop it. Let's see if that's enough to stick it. So, it should be enough. And you just want to be gentle to not deform the mold. And you can just stick that wherever you would like it on your cake. And then I can go back if I need to, like if my fingers took any of the paint off, which I totally did, I can just touch it up. If this was a real cake for a customer or for like sale, I would be wearing gloves anytime I'm touching something that they're buying, but today we're just playing. And then for this guy, let's just put him on top. Let's do it like a bracelet, because I feel like it looks like jewelry. So let's treat him like jewelry. That there, and I can attach it in the front as well. I don't necessarily need to, so I have those guys attached. Now I can go around the rest of the cake, add more brooches, more molds. I can add pearls. I can do whatever I feel like this cake needs to give it that, you know, finished look for whatever style I'm doing. But the important part here is you want to be gentle with your touch, because you don't want to smush the details on your mold that you just created. So just keep that in mind, that you do have to have a gentle touch with your fondant. Does anyone have any questions? This was super fun. I love getting to play fondant with you guys. I don't get to play fondant very often, so it's been a little while. I love covering cakes in fondant. I find it very rewarding. I love doing the marble look. I do have a video on our YouTube channel of doing a marbling covered cake in fondant. If you guys want to check that out, you can go to our YouTube, which is in the description. The link is there. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do. We are trying to get to 1,000 subscribers so that we can unlock a bunch of extra stuff on YouTube, as well as complete a challenge where I will decorate a cake blindfolded, which I'm super excited to do. I've never done. I have no idea what will happen, so I would love you guys joining us in that challenge. And then next week on Wednesday, March 24th, we will have our first ever open house, free cake day. You guys can come here and get a bunch of free cake samples to take home. We're gonna do raffles for free gifts, all kinds of cool stuff. We'll have a photographer here, Nate Crouch Photography. So definitely take a look at that. The link is in the description for that event as well. So thank you guys so much for joining. I absolutely love getting to play with you guys on Tuesday nights. Thank you for joining me for another Tutorial Tuesday. This is Megan Ritz with Classic Cakes.